Good afternoon, everyone, and we are here live again with a second take. Yesterday, Dianne Mathews from Everybody Loves Reiki joined me for a Facebook Live interview, but we had some technical issues that we didn't notice until the very end. It's too bad it was such a great video, so we decided that such great information is too good to waste, so we're doing it again today, a repeat. And maybe some things that we forgot to mention yesterday will be captured today, so it's maybe a good thing. Anyway, so I am Dr. Vera and I'm a chiropractor, and on Wednesdays, but today Thursday, I've introduced a concept called Wellness Wheel Wednesday. And the reason for that is because I've had over 15 years of practice as a chiropractor, and of course most people use chiropractic as a way to kind of get over some of their aches and pains that they have, be it a headache, upper back pain, in between the shoulder blades, whatever the ache and pain may be. And yes, chiropractic is a great tool. But when I do a history exam on people, people often are searching for something that they've done. They hunt for a physical complaint to warrant why they are in such discomfort. For instance, did I sit wrong? Did I stand wrong? Did I slip on the ice? Did I sleep wrong? Is the most common thing that people, because often they might wake up with a headache. And yes, not to take away from any of that. That certainly is a possibility, but it's not always the case. So our aches and pains don't always happen because of something that we physically have done to ourselves. In my practice, what I've noticed is that an emotional component is often involved, meaning from childhood or some sort of something, we're carrying often with us some sad, a hurt, anger, shame, whatever, some perceived negative emotion. And they're big deals. Like when we have strong emotions, and it's usually surrounding some sort of ending or loss, when we have some intense emotions, they often are that is super intense and can be a little bit scary and overwhelming. For instance, it just feels like this emotion will never end. So what often can happen when we're in such a moment is that not knowing how to process this big emotion, we end up stuffing it. But such a big event like that will trip a stress response, and it will put somebody in a chronic stress response type of reaction within the body. And what that does to the spine is it causes the spine to misalign itself, much like a misalignment would happen from falling down the stairs or something like that. So it's a stress response is a stress response, whatever may elicit it, be it a physical complaint like the fall, or be it an emotional event. So I've noticed that in practice, I have great remedies for people with physical. We can get a little stronger, we can improve our diet. But with the helping people manage some of their mental emotional, this is where it becomes a little bit individual. So I invite expert speakers in various fields and styles to help reduce some of those mental emotional stresses. So today what I've brought, well, not brought, I didn't carry you in here. I asked Dianne Mathews to join me because she is a Reiki master. So Reiki is why am I talking about it? Why don't I just ask Dianne? So Dianne, in a nutshell, how would somebody using Reiki help to reduce some of those mental emotional stresses? Is that the purpose why one would choose Reiki, or what is the reason why somebody would seek Reiki as a therapy?
A lot of people come to Reiki for pain, or they're anxious, they're stressed out. Because Reiki itself is a natural Japanese technique for relaxation and stress reduction, and it promotes healing. So it works actually physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It works on all four of the quadrants, which is really good. And since we're talking about emotion today, it definitely helps with the emotions as well, and helping the body to relax.
That's it's when somebody is really stuck in that stress response, it's really overwhelming and they don't really know what to do. So in a Reiki session, if somebody is coming in there, you can just feel it sometimes or see that somebody is really wrought with a lot of emotional distress. What is actually happening in a Reiki session when somebody is coming in super stressed, and if it's starting to dissipate? What do you see as a practitioner when you're working on somebody who has such emotions?
Often they're very tense, so their muscles are really tight. Of course, they're holding a lot of the emotions in their body, in their muscles and different organs. So it's really important. With Reiki, it helps your body to completely relax. So when a person is really stressed out like that or holding a lot of emotions in, their body is actually in the fight or flight mode. So that's our sympathetic nervous system. And a person can only stay in that system for so long before we start to get the aches and the pains. We need to have the relaxation to be able to have our body to heal and start to get rid of, release some of the emotions and the tension that's in the body.
So in a Reiki session, what does a Reiki session actually look like? So like, what actually happens if I were to book an appointment and have a session with you? Take me from the start to the end of a session. What does it look like?
Okay, so usually for an adult, they're 60 minutes long. People come, dressed comfortably. They stay fully clothed. There's no manual manipulation involved in any of it. I have them lie on a massage table, so however they're comfortable, their back, their side, on their stomach. And I have worked with a few people who have actually sat in chairs. So as I start to work with them, with Reiki, because it is a type of energy work, I actually bring the energy in from around me, and it comes into my body, and then it's channeled through my hands and into their body. So I prefer to be able to have my hands lightly on my client. If people are uncomfortable with being touched, that's all right too, because then as long as I have my hand just above their body, it's still in their energy zones, kind of a thing, and it's still just as effective. I can also do Reiki at a distance because, again, it's energy. And as I'm working with them and the energy starts to go into their body starts to relax. I can start to feel the relaxation in their body. This is really good because that puts them now into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. And when they're in resting like that, then their body can start to heal itself. So one of the first things that happen is the body relaxes. As the body's relaxing, the body starts now to produce oxytocin, which is a stress reduction hormone. The one neat thing about oxytocin is it also helps to make a person feel better emotionally. So some of those really raw emotions and stuff actually lessen in intensity so that they're more relaxed to be able to release them. Another thing that happens is mentally, their mind starts to relax. So whatever they've been so focused on, like either with anxiety or stress, hurt, whatever, that starts to relax and kind of washes away out of them. So their mind can completely relax with that. So sometimes as I'm working, I can feel that the energy isn't going through in a different part of their body. So that shows to me that there's a block in that area. They've got emotions or tension or something in there that's not letting the energy flow through their body. Each body has a whole bunch of different energy systems in it. And I work with the 7 major ones. But I can tell when there's no energy flowing through. So I work on releasing that block so that the energy can flow through. As their energy starts to balance itself out, there starts to become more vitality. So they actually get more energy from it.
Nice.
I often will have people fall asleep because that's just how deeply they will relax on the table. And then at the end of the session, after the 60 minutes is up, I tell them to make sure that they drink lots of water for the next 48 hours. Reiki will continue to work for 48 hours at least, and they'll feel benefits for a week, 2 weeks, or longer afterwards from them.
I think you touched on some really great points there that, the emotions trip. a stress response in us, and as I highlighted before, and that does put us into a stress response. It can be a chronic stress response, especially if the emotions are continuous, or if life is just perpetually filled with endless stressful events. So it's really important actually for the body to tap in as best it can to that parasympathetic nervous system, because that really is the only part of the nervous system that is responsible for rest, relaxation, and most importantly restoration. So without tapping into that, it's almost impossible to really begin to heal from the backache or heal from whatever it may be if we're not really allowing the body to kind of sit in a parasympathetic response. So anything that can get the body there is pretty important, and chiropractic with an adjustment certainly does that. And it sounds like Reiki is another facilitator to support the body to get into that parasympathetic nervous system so that the healing can actually happen. Very good points. That's right. It really, that is the most critical part for the healing. And often after a chiropractic adjustment, that too happens, is that people get pretty tired. It happened to me after a first TRT adjustment. They warned me. They were like, "Oh, you're going to be very tired." I didn't believe it, because I've been under care for quite a while, and I was very, very tired. But that's a great thing. It really allowed for that finality of healing. So you touched on another point that I want to address. So you said that you prefer to touch people, but you can also do it at a distance, a certain, I'm sure you know the distance that you need to be from the body. So, and you said that some people don't like to be touched, so you can actually be above. But does the opposite ever happen to you? I think I've heard in the past that sometimes people might have a complaint or a objection to Reiki, as they feel that it's kind of this hover over the body. So it's either like, you're touching me, but you're not touching me. So do people complain about that sensation versus, why don't you just touch me?
I haven't had anyone come to me about that yet, which is really interesting. I check beforehand, before I start working with them, of course. And I've had no problem with anybody touching.
Oh, that's good. So people do prefer to be touched. Yes. Yeah, that's my that would be my preference as well. It kind of just feels like a little bit more care in there, which is also pretty important.
Exactly.
So, yeah, do people often feel something with the Reiki session? For instance, if I'm lying on the table, will I be able to feel some of these energy moving, or does that happen to everyone? Some people, what is a typical response? Like, what can I expect to feel if there's a removal of a blockage? Does that come with certain typical experiences?
Each person experiences Reiki differently. Each session, they experience it differently. It depends on what they're going through at the time and where the Reiki energy is working. So as a person, for example, I'll just give you, when I was working with 4 people, I was doing a small presentation to 4 different people. And as I was doing the Reiki afterwards, I did a quick summary with them to see what they felt. And one felt her muscles relax. One actually saw colors. One's headache was almost gone. And one of them said she didn't feel anything. And even feeling nothing is normal. It happens. It just means that the Reiki is working on a subconscious level. Typically, as a generalization, most people feel the relaxation. People who are more sensitive to energy will actually feel the energy coming into their body. Sometimes, as I'm working with them and a block is released, I can actually feel muscles start to twitch and stuff, so I can feel the release in their body as well. So it varies depending on where they're at.
It sounds very similar to what can happen with a typical chiropractic adjustment, specifically with the technique that I do, which is torque release technique. Exactly that. Sometimes you can really feel a really good adjustment when there's just, I kind of equate it that somebody's holding their fists really tight and they forgot that they're holding their fists super tight, and it's like, oh yeah, you don't need to, and it's just this, just a drop in tension, like just literally you can feel the tissue just sink and relax. It's really quite beautiful. And for me, what I typically tell people they can experience is nothing. That can happen for sure. It doesn't mean that it's not working. It's just yeah, some people are a little bit more sensitive. There's some people who have a shivery, or some heat or cold. Some people do see colors. Some people actually will have a release of emotions. So that's not to be afraid. Is all of a sudden for no reason at all, people start to cry. It does happen in my office. Does it happen often? No, not often, but often enough that it is memorable. Does that ever happen to you in a Reiki session?
I've never had anyone actually cry
Yeah.
in it. One of the biggest things I've noticed is that people actually fall asleep.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the people I'm working with is a young woman with ADHD. And after about the third visit with me, in less than a minute, she was sound asleep on the table.
Oh, that's pretty good. Those are active people, aren't
yes,
they? Yeah.
So it's just fun because that is the biggest thing that I'm finding is people just completely relax so much that they fall asleep.
Well, I think from a clinical perspective, that's huge. That's really, again, just to reiterate the same point, you're going to heal your conditions when you are able to rest. So that might be in the form of great sleep or just allowing the body to not be in such a go, go, go mode. But so that sounds like a really wonderful response. And I think just to touch on, it's not... You mentioned it when you were speaking, that it's kind of allows the body to take a break almost. So it's not to suggest that it will take away all the emotions. It's still our homework to kind of process them, but it is important to kind of take a break from some of that intensity to just give ourselves the opportunity to kind of do something else and heal from whatever this emotional event is. So you mentioned ADHD as a client. Is there any other conditions that you personally enjoy treating as a Reiki master? Or, is there someone you specifically like to work with?
I liked working with special needs kids, especially ones with autism. Anyone on the autism spectrum are very high anxiety. And Reiki helps to release and reduce the anxiety. So they're calmer, which makes a huge difference in their life. Like if they're going to school, at home, things like that. So I like working with the children and especially with autism. I will work with anyone though, so babies to grannies and animals too. I've worked with horses, dogs, and cats, and grannies and babies, and
that's a great sentence. Grannies to babies, and what was it? Grannies to babies and animals too. That's right. That was very catchy. It's almost a jingle. Well, that's really wonderful. Autism is for parents as well. It's I think a difficult thing to go through. So I'm sure the moms could use a little bit of a Reiki session as well, and of course dads,
definitely
dads and moms and the children as well. So I'm glad that we had an opportunity to do this again, because it was similar to what the video was yesterday. Lots of great information about what Reiki is, what it can do, how it does help with the strong emotions, and that the strong emotions set off a sympathetic response, and how Reiki actually helps the body put itself at ease, an opportunity to heal from whatever that event is. So it's a great, wonderful complement to work those two therapies together in order to really get some maximum relief from the aches and pains that continue to plague so many of us. I would like to now take an opportunity to invite our viewers to, explore some of their health potential and their health options. So I am offering for the viewers who are interested in pursuing, hey, what is this torque release technique? What is this different chiropractic? Because it is a tool based, so some people have an opinion on that, but it really is effective. I've been practicing this technique for about 4 years. Made the switch from a manual type of adjustment because of its effectiveness. So if you're curious at all what we're talking about in terms of this real sense of relaxation, muscles just relieving, and a relief to some of those aches and pains which nobody else was able to solve, just feel free to private message the office, comment or share, expressing that you'd like us to reach you or contact you, and we'd be happy to do so. And as a token, or making it even easier for you, we'll be gifting that first visit adjustment. So sometimes that's also a barrier. Oh, I don't want to pay that initial visit fee again to yet another chiropractor. I'm going to waive that fee, and just to make the exploration of this type of chiropractic a little bit more easy. Dianne, do you have something for our viewers?
I definitely do too as well. So for anyone who either knows someone who could benefit from a Reiki session or they'd like to try it themselves, if you like, comment, and share the video, I will give you 25% off.
Ooh.
And I'll offer that through until, I'm going to extend it to the end of April, so that gives people a lot of time to be able to take advantage of that promotion. It would be at my location, and I would love to be able to help as many people as possible with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's I've already booked 2 people for Dianne, so that's awesome. Yeah, there we go. And just a reminder, next week we have Jenny Sestrate with us. She is with Sestrate Insurance, and she's going to be talking about preventing future stresses with some unfortunate health disasters that happen to people, so how we can be prepared for any future disasters coming our way. And we are having a Wellness Wheel event. This will be in the fall of 2018, and again, it's going to be a large-scale Wellness Wheel Wednesday, but on a large scale. So there'll be expert speakers and the forum where you can learn about how to reduce some emotional stressors from the spheres in the Wellness Wheel. So stay tuned to the webpage for when the event is actually going to be, but it'll be fall, likely November 2018.
And feel free to check out my website, everybodylovesreiki.ca. It'll give you some more information. You'll be able to check testimonials, and you can also book appointments through it.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Well, super duper. Thanks, Dianne. And stay tuned for next week. That's it. Okay, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.